Hey everyone. This episode here is going to be Eric's subject, and also stick around at the very end for our picks for the Super Bowl. So, I think we all know where I stand on that one. Fighting Shanahan's, spoiler alert, but you'll hear it at the end. So, again, let's go through the process, boys and girls. Don't forget to like, subscribe, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Once again, thanks for listening, guys. Hope you enjoyed this week's batch of subjects. Have a good one.
They really are, man.
All right, guys, welcome. My segment, my topic that I would like to bring up today is the future of the Baltimore Ravens. Due to how it finished this past season with a terrific ending.
I mean, it's what they wrote in the script.
Yeah. I want to dive in and get your guys' opinions and thoughts of what the Ravens should be doing moving forward. Obviously, next year you still run it back with the same group of bunch that you have now. If everything's going to hold up together, you have Odell's out. I believe he's going to be a free agent.
I'm fine with that.
Which it is what it is. But you do have a young star with Zay Flowers.
Yes.
Even though you don't use him, Gus Edwards looked really good. Lamar looked outstanding, MVP level, played throughout the regular season. But all good things do come to an end, and there's always a small window to be successful in the NFL. So with that being said, I want to ask you guys, what do you think is in the future for Baltimore, not only just going into next season, but the season followed after that?
I think the biggest thing this offseason, and it almost reminds me of like those really good college football teams where like you saw Nick Saban have Steve Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin, or it's a lot of these things where like the FSU dynasty ended when they lost Mark Richt and all these guys. Like eventually when you're good, people just start poaching. I mean, his own brother's poaching.
Yeah.
He poached how many kids from him for like Michigan coordinator, and then he got him back, and now he's coaching in Seattle. Mike McDonald, right?
I believe so.
I think that's his name. And then he just took Minter or whatever his name was, who was coaching with him at Michigan. He's going to be their defensive coordinator, I believe, in the Chargers. And I'm sure that was a guy who came from Baltimore. So it's a matter of how many times is Harbaugh, John, not Jim, is John going to hit on these coaches? Because eventually you're going to miss. And I think it might be one of those things where, like how you're saying, there's a small window now. And if he doesn't hit on this next coordinator for defense, what's going to happen? Because you kind of saw what was going on with Greg Roman the last, 2 years, where they really, everybody was just remembering that it was the second Lamar year or whatever, where he was going on, and they were just running over everyone. Yeah. Anybody who touched the ball was getting 5 yards a carry, and it was crazy, and they were the number one offense, but they never changed. Mm-hmm. And now, you got the guy from Georgia. I can't remember his name, but he was the University of Georgia's offensive coordinator. And that worked out pretty well in the regular season. This team, was dominant. Like, I think it's fair to say if you look at the statistics against how they did against really good teams, they dominated those good teams, and they had a few slip-ups here and there, like against the Steelers for some reason.
It's a division game, though.
But it is, to me, the most important thing is going to be the hiring of the coordinators and see where they go from here, because I do think Odell's going to come back. I think he likes it there.
He's dating Kim Kardashian now?
Is he really?
Shut up. No, he's not.
Yeah.
That's funny how you reacted like that. I'm sorry. Shut up.
Stop it. Oh, stop it. That team is cussed.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah, for sure.
That team is
That's
cussed.
probably why they lost.
Yeah. Odell's about to find another ACL, probably.
But, I mean, on offense, you've got Lamar, Zay Flowers. You got all those running backs, Dalvin Cook. But, I mean, you've got one of the best safeties in the league still on a rookie contract. I think Kyle Hamilton, I think a lot of people saw potential in him, but because he wasn't a speedster, people were worried. He only gave up 1 touchdown in coverage to a tight end all year.
Mm-hmm.
Happens to be in the game that they need it the most. But there's a lot of pieces there that they're still going to be fine. Pittsburgh doesn't have a quarterback. We're going to see what happens with the Browns and Deshaun Watson. That experiment has been a colossal failure. Miguel said in one of our previous podcasts that T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd are going to be gone from Cincinnati. So, I mean, is that division going to be as tough as it's always been? I mean, maybe. But
I mean, I don't. I mean, you got what, Kenny Pickett. They're riding with Kenny Pickett, so I don't know why, but because I don't see anything in Kenny Pickett.
I think Mason Rudolph's better quarterback.
Yeah,
and that's sad to say.
And then you look at
that's what I'm saying. Colossal failure.
Yeah.
Colossal failure with Deshaun Watson, and you can't get out of that. So that's a huge anchor on that team. What's Cincinnati going to look like?
Well, I mean, we're answering the regular season, right? Because now the standard for the Ravens is, yeah, you're going to get into the playoffs, but what are you going to do in the playoffs? And that's where that window is clicking. Because, for example, you're thinking of next season. Like I'm thinking next season, the Ravens, and as dramatic as this sounds, it's like you got to win the Super Bowl next year.
I mean, for God's sakes, they got to make at least the championship game.
Yeah, you have to.
Because,
right?
No, because they looked really good against the Texans. They won that game comfortably, and then
they looked like the better experienced team, but they also beat a young team.
Yeah,
let's get real.
But what they did their job though.
Yeah,
that game wasn't really that close. Though.
Yes,
we saw what the Texans did to Cleveland.
You basically saw the difference between what the Texans are now and what Kansas City is. Kansas City is the more experienced team, and they have the better quarterback. So, you know what I see and what I think, Eric, and there's no the defense, offense is good. And you have the players, and I go straight to what this whole topic is about: is Lamar Jackson.
Oh.
He's the problem. There's no problem.
Oh, he's the problem.
There's no issues on defense.
If you go through the
whole season having the great season you had, defensively, offensively, and you go to the playoffs and you just throw up a dud.
So
but that's the problem.
He's like the modern day.
Did you
Peyton
know?
Manning.
Wait,
there were so many.
If you take Lamar
Jackson, he's overrated.
There's so many plays in that Kansas City Chiefs game that you just saw. He looked so lost in that game.
Find a map.
It was terrible.
When
he threw the interception. Can
we get into this conspiracy theory thing?
Oh my god, bro! When
you want to get into conspiracy theory?
When he threw the interceptions, you just had to just think what is he doing out there? He looked more lost than I ever seen him in other playoff appearances.
But I will say
that was a horrible game plan.
That
was the worst game plan I think we've seen in recent memory.
Okay, so is it Lamar Jackson or is it the coaching staff?
It's the coaching staff.
I think this is my final, my conclusion of what I think is going to happen with the Ravens. John is out. And the reason why I say that is because John has been trying to keep that same formula or that same image of the Ravens that we've seen in past years, that heavy defense,
3 yards in a cloud of dust.
strong running game, controls the clock, and then let the quarterback just make a couple plays and you win the game. Who are the 2 quarterbacks that won for Baltimore?
Trent Dilfer and Joe Flacco.
There you go. Hey, Joe Flacco had a really good.
He had a really good wide receiver in Anquan Bolden.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is that with John, I think he's got 1 more year left. And
wait, who was there with Joe Flacco?
Yeah. Harbaugh's been there for a long time.
But John has always had that style. We're gonna run the ball and all that stuff, and then the noise started getting really, really loud that you're not getting Lamar weapons. And the style and the scheme. Which is true. I'll give you that. It's true, but the style and the scheme of play of the offense wasn't keeping up with the skeleton type of offense, like the skeleton drill type of offense that you have, spread offense, and we're going to throw the rock and stuff like that. Which is ironically, they did run the ball throughout the year so well. They ran it so well, but what's going to end up happening is that when you get to a point that you can't get into the AFC Championship game, what do you do as a team owner? What do you do as a GM? Because the GM's giving them everything. If you look top down, the only person that is not meeting to their needs is John, and the coach and the coaching staff. I think the players that the GM has done an amazing job, and I think they've built a great team. But what's going to end up happening is that when you get to that point, you lose again. You're going to end up losing that locker room.
So, I agree with all that. That
good.
he has.
Nice.
That's why I was saying that the hires are very important this offseason in terms of the defensive side and whatever else you're losing on. Because I think you got to stick with the guy from Georgia because of how they play this. But
you're going to lose Clowney, right?
If he doesn't want to take a discount again, no. You're
probably going to lose Clowney, so and then you got to replace that.
Yeah, but that you can get someone like Clowney again somewhere on the market, or draft someone because you don't really need to draft a wide receiver. Ideally,
no. Ideally, I think you're fine with the wide receiver,
and you hope Mark Andrews comes back. But again, going back to what Miguel said, because I really don't want to gloss over that. There was a conspiracy theory tweet that I saw, and I'm not really into conspiracy theories, but
I am.
They had the whole thing where they showed week 1 all the way to week 17 and then technically week 18 with the Houston Texans, where how many times they ran the ball. And every single game, I think it was it was only running backs. It only counted running backs. Every single game was, I think, at least 18 rushes by a running back, minimum. Not counting Lamar. Not counting Lamar. Against the Kansas City Chiefs, Gus Edwards, 3 carries. For 20 yards, by the way. He averaged 6.7 yards a carry. But
you were saying good about him, too.
Good
but we'll not give him the ball, even though 1 carry was for 15 yards, but that's beside the point. Zay Flowers, 2 carries for 4 yards. Your wide receiver had 2 carries for 4 yards. But if we don't want to count those 2 guys, the 2 running backs, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, 3 carries for 3 yards. You gave your running backs 6 carries for 23 yards.
What was the final score of the game?
17-10.
Man, imagine if they ran the ball. That score.
That score. It sounds like there's a heavy run.
Now you factor in Lamar Jackson, 8 carries for 54 yards, average of 6.8 yards a carry.
Mind you,
he was literally the running game.
No, but mind you, he wasn't running because it was designed run. He was running because the Chiefs were putting so much pressure.
I don't know what Baltimore's game plan was. Like, it's not like Baltimore plays in a dome. It's not like
the game was they lost that game so bad that it makes me think that there's a conspiracy there.
They gave Pacheco.
There's a lot of it going
on. Isaiah Pacheco, 24 carries for 68 yards. That's an average of 2.8 yards a carry and a touchdown. They said we're still gonna do it. Mm-hmm. And you're telling me one of the most preeminent rushing teams in the NFL at home? No thanks.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that they were at home.
Do you think that's a fireable offense? Right?
To me, when the defense holds Kansas City, and I know this isn't the same Kansas City's teams of Tyreek Hill and all these guys. I get that, whatever. But you hold this team. By the way, Patrick Mahomes went 30 of 39. I'm looking at that. That's insane. But anyways, you hold them to 17 points. Bend, don't break. Like, if you tell me you hold the Kansas City Chiefs to 17 points, I expect the Baltimore Ravens to win.
Yeah.
Over 4 quarters. duh, it's a professional
Oh,
game.
okay.
But over 4 quarters, like let's see real quick how it broke down. Like, the first quarter was amazing, and then after that, it just went downhill from there. From both for like the first like 3 drives or 4 drives, that game was hot. Like everybody's like, oh, it was like a heavyweight boxing
I think
match.
it was they scored.
They both scored in the
first drive.
Yeah.
And then
I'm like, whoever hit the over on this.
Yeah.
So the first quarter,
Imagine
the first
hit
quarter
the over on that, bro. After that first 2 drives, you're like, oh, this is gonna hit, and it doesn't hit.
The first quarter 7-7, and then at halftime it's 17-7 because they scored 10 points. The Chiefs scored 10 points in the second quarter. In the third quarter, how many points do you think they scored for the game if they had 17? 0. Fourth quarter, how many points they scored?
Defense did their job. Man.
0. They held them, and all they did was score 3 points in the fourth quarter with 2:34 left. Like, to me, that's I don't know what they did. I don't say you fire the offensive coordinator because of what they did in the regular season. And again, we're dismissing the fact that they got to the AFC Championship game. They did beat Houston. And I know, again, that's a young team, but you beat who's put in front of you. And they beat them comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that game close, actually, and they just pulled away at a certain point?
I mean, wasn't it like 30-13 or something like that?
No, but like it was close in like towards the first half.
Yeah,
like,
but
it was
like
a good game, and then
adjustments.
But I don't think like they really like. To me, that game wasn't in like in question because
them, but not the Chiefs.
I know.
Yeah, but the fact that that's what I'm saying. It's the game was so badly coached that we have people thinking that there's a conspiracy.
It was 34-10. They scored 17 points in the fourth quarter. So going into the fourth quarter, it was
17-10.
17-10. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good game.
No, but
until Jesus tried to make some couple of mistakes.
But you as a coach, you should be protecting your player. Because when I was watching that game, I was just thinking Lamar is just trying to do too much.
Yeah.
And I think Lamar's like, I don't know what Lamar was saying, like, oh, hey, I want the ball. But the best player on that field is Pat Mahomes, right?
Yes.
And you want to keep him off the field as much as possible. And what do you do to keep him off the field? You run the
dang ball.
Run the ball. And that's what's mind-blowing to me, because how are you at that? Dude, we're 3 guys right now talking about football, and there's coaches those coaches getting paid millions of dollars, and we're all sitting here, just run the ball. There's Raven fans that are watching that game, run the ball. Everybody in the world is saying, run the ball. Why are you not running the ball? What happened there?
You guys want the rushing stats?
I need answers.
I got answers for you.
Go.
In the Texans game, Dalvin Cook had some rushing yards.
Oh, look at Dalvin.
8 for 23.
Oh, he was on the Ravens?
Good for him.
Yeah, he signed right at the playoff because he got cut by the Jets.
They didn't even use him in... Oh, never mind.
Gus Edwards, 10 for 40. Justice Hill, 13 for 66.
Jesus, that's a lot of rushing.
Lamar had 11 for 100. But take away Lamar, you had 129 rushing yards as a team. 229 with Lamar. But without Lamar, 129 rushing yards. And the mythical number for rushing has always been 100 yards. With one running back, but that's impossible now. So with Justice Hill and Gus Edwards, you got, you can throw in Dalvin there, obviously, but you had 106 rushing yards with your 2 main components in the rushing game. And yet, all those guys didn't get the same amount of carries that Dalvin Cook got against Houston. And that was a close game. We just said 17-10 going into the fourth quarter against CJ Stroud. And to your point, we're saying, how do you limit Patrick Mahomes' opportunities to hurt you?
Run the ball.
You keep him off the field.
Yeah.
You keep him off the field. And they didn't do that.
That's what I'm
What's
saying.
the time possession?
But that's what I'm saying.
I'm on it, yeah.
That's it's a fireable defense. Like, if it's not John, any other coach gets fired there.
Time possessions. Kansas City, 37 minutes and 30 seconds. Ravens, 22 minutes and 30 seconds.
That's
disgusting.
For the Ravens, again, this is the context in which we're talking about it. Like when you're saying fireable offense, this is one of the best rushing teams, including Lamar, because you have to include him. But overall, this is one of the best rushing teams in the NFL. And you have the ball for 22 minutes.
Yeah,
It's
not enough.
I mean,
So that being said, do you fire John Harbaugh?
Yes.
after this year, it depends on what they
John
do this year.
Harbaugh win with Joe
We're
Flacco?
we're talking about people's jobs now on this.
He won.
Didn't he win with Joe Flacco?
He won with Joe Flacco.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then doesn't that say like, okay, the coaches make the quarterback better, right? Like whoever, like it's the 1 and 2 things, like Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. So John Harbaugh was meant for Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco was meant for Harbaugh because they had that dynamic. So now that I think about Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh, there's no dynamic in the playoffs with them too. Like there's like how we're saying, like he just looks lost, and there's just no game plan. They just didn't stick to the game plan they had all season.
I think because like
to go push it all the way through to the end to they get to the Super Bowl. We all thought they were going to go to the Super Bowl, right?
They should have.
They should have.
Yeah.
So
it's the color of the logo.
With the right game.
What was the color of the logo?
With the right game plan.
So it's about
well,
who the
I'm sorry.
quarterback is,
Never mind.
right?
They weren't supposed to go to the Super Bowl because they're going up against the Swifties, so you can't lose them out on the Super Bowl.
So
That
it makes you
viewership.
say, like, at the same time, is it Harbaugh or is it just the fact that it's not Lamar Jackson is not his quarterback? Because you had Joe Flacco, so
what's
two different players.
I'll ask you guys this: do you think that after Lamar held out, that fractured the relationship between John and Lamar?
No, I don't think it did. But
in a way, it could have because
it was so cute.
Why would you hold out? Why would you wait so long? If you really wanted to be there, just sign.
It was so cute to watch them. It was so cute
when you say just sign. If someone's offering you like $80 million guaranteed, and everybody else around you is getting $130, $150 million, I'm not just signing. Like he is one of the most. If you take Lamar Jackson off that team, they are worse than Pittsburgh by a lot.
I don't know about that.
Dude.
What do you mean you don't know about who's on the Ravens that sticks out? If you don't have Lamar Jackson running that offense,
Gus Edwards.
Who's going to run that offense?
Well,
Tyler Huntley? You think Tyler Huntley is going to take them to 14-2 in an AFC Championship game?
Same quarterback.
They are kind of the same quarterback. I really when Tyler Huntley plays, I swear I think it's like Lamar Jackson out there.
I'm not going to dive into this. I'm not. I have a reputation.
But don't you guys remember how cute it was with John and like Lamar when like Lamar started like making his dent in the NFL, and they'll clip to John screaming at Lamar, "You want to go for it? You want to go for it? You go for it." You don't see that anymore with both of them.
But because I think Lamar felt disrespected by the organization. Wouldn't you feel disrespected by the organization? If all the offense is predicated around you, and it's time to pay you.
Well, it wasn't technically because they weren't building around him.
You're telling me that offense wasn't designed for him?
Well, for him to be a running quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, but
they weren't running. Lamar, they weren't going air raid with Lamar, were they?
Yeah,
they said, "Hey, we've got."
Now they are though.
But they're not though. They weren't going air raid. They're still one of the better rushing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's still predicated on the.
Yeah, you're right. It's just they gave him weapons to throw to, which made it seem that it was more air raided because
they were so god awful giving him weapons for the first 4 years of his career. Exactly. That's like, hey, we gave you Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham was basically, what's his name? Jackson.
Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, it was basically Deshaun Jackson. The only thing is they drafted and they actually hit on Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
As opposed to
Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown.
No, the other guy was it Bateman? No, who was the guy they drafted from? Was it UCF? They drafted this kid from UCF a few years ago, and then he never.
Oh my god! I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, he was like 6'3".
He was a tall receiver.
Yeah, this kid's gonna be a stud. I think he played like 8 snaps in the NFL, but it just looks different because they actually hit on certain guys. Yeah. My thing, it's just. I do think this whole contract thing fractured the organization. And that's, again, I think we're beating this point home where it's always easy to win in the first 5 years of an NFL. Like, hey, we have all fun and games at a dub because, hey, buddy, you're making $2 million. We can pay we can pay the carcass of Marcus Peters $20 million, and it doesn't matter because you're making a few $1 million. You know, it's the same thing that's happening in San Francisco. Chase Young, sure. Joey Bosa, yeah. Christian McCaffrey, throw money at him, sure. Debo, you want to, yeah. And then eventually Purdy's gonna be like, hey, it's my turn. Oh God, we gotta pay this guy.
Especially if they win.
Yeah, this guy's gonna making like $600,000 a year. Now
The
we're gonna
most
pay him.
elite
Like,
game manager.
well, you know,
You know, they
That's
dive
coaching.
into it.
that's coaching. No,
Another conspiracy: if the San Francisco doesn't stick to that game plan of running the ball,
I swear to
I
God.
swear to God, I will lose my crap.
I think I like to think my
Kyle
boy
Shannon.
Kyle learned from 28-3
Yeah,
that eventually he's got Christian McCaffrey. I mean,
best running back.
you can't not run the ball with him. For God's sake, Elijah Mitchell's still good. Like, I mean, throw Debo back there for all I care. Like, run the dang ball. I don't know, but I mean, it's a very weird time for Baltimore because they're still going to be a good team next year.
Yeah.
But again, like we're talking about, Eric said earlier, you got to make the Super Bowl. I said you got to at least make the AFC Championship game. They made the championship game this year. Is it AFC or NFC? I'm saying AFC, right?
AFC.
Yeah, I'm saying right.
Yeah.
Okay. They made the AFC Championship this year, and it was still a disappointment. Like, would that game be looked at differently if, let's say, it did finish 17-10 still, but they actually ran the ball?
Nah, it's a completely different story.
Like,
It's a completely different story.
We wouldn't be,
Then
we
it'd
wouldn't
be
be
more-
talking about them like
it'd be
this.
more on Lamar and not on the coaching staff, because at that point, if you're running the ball successfully and Lamar isn't executing, then
exactly.
okay, now the
Exactly.
conversation with Lamar. But I think, Eric, you put it well, where it's like you didn't put your best player in a position to succeed.
You didn't protect your player.
Like,
You didn't protect your
you
player
gave
from
the ball to
themselves.
Isaiah Pacheco 24 times. Like, doesn't matter if he's not gaining the yards. Okay, we are gonna keep Lamar Jackson off the field.
The Chiefs did what the Ravens should have done.
Yep.
That's exactly what happened.
But yeah, guys. Final thoughts. I just want to close out with you guys because by the time this comes out, Super Bowl has already happened. So I would like to get your guys' picks.
On the record, everybody knows who I'm going for. Like, you guys can just skip me.
Niners, and they cover.
2 points.
Wait, are they even favorites?
The Niners are 2-point favorites.
Yeah.
I think
I think
let
they
me
cover.
check. Brought to you by the Hard Rock Sports Bet app.
Yeah.
If you don't want your parlays paid out, bet on Hard Rock.
Another conspiracy.
Mhm. Let me see real quick.
Niners, and they cover.
They're currently on the Hard Rock Bet app, 2-point favorites.
What's the over-under of that game? by the way?
47.5.
Jesus. I don't know.
So,
That's a 25-22. No, 25-23.
so all right. So give me your pick and give me the score.
Okay, Miguel, you go first.
27-24.
So they cover. Okay. You said San Francisco.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be under.
There's no blowout. There's not going to be a blowout that game.
I think it's going to be 24. I want to say 17, but I'm feeling 24-16.
It's a weird one.
24-16.
Bet the over on the kickers. Got it.
24-16. The 49ers. I just think that defense, like, the Ravens gave up 11 for 116 to
MVP of the game?
to Travis Kelce. I don't think the 49ers are allowing that. Like, I just don't see. You got Fred Warner out there like this.
Yeah, bro. It's going to be good.
Kyle Shanahan better win. Like,
I think Kittle wins MVP too, by the way. Because he wants redemption hard from the last time.
there's just too many weapons on that team right now. I think Debo's going to be
Either him
close
or
enough
McCaffrey
to,
is.
like, he's going to be 80%. Like, I know, like, he's got that shoulder thing, so it's going to be weird, but you got McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. You've got George Kittle, just
Eric,
don't turn the ball over.
you asked us. What's your thoughts?
Bosa's going to go off.
28.
Chase Young's going to go off.
28-24. The Chiefs.
You
suck, bro.
And you know what's gonna happen? This is what's gonna happen. Patrick Mahomes is
The
gonna go.
GOAT!
Patrick Mahomes is down 3. They get a touchdown, give the ball back to the Niners, and they're gonna have to score a touchdown to win the game, and they're gonna fall.
Like the
short.
Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
Down 4
Yeah.
40 seconds.
Yep.
And no timeouts.
And no timeouts.
All right, folks. Those are our picks. Great subjects. We'll be posting it soon.